Hey guys, welcome to another conversation inside of MEDIGROW. The purpose here is for us to hang out. Babak is a friend of mine and a client. We got to know each other through common friends. And what I want to do right now is just have a discussion between what you knew before, what you know now, the distinctions, the decisions you're making, how you want to lead your life, the inefficiencies versus financial efficiencies, and so on and so forth. So, my friend, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
For the benefit of every doctor around Australia, even New Zealand, guys, welcome, right? So, Babak, how did you hear about us? What happened? How come we got to know each other? Tell us your journey.
There was actually an interesting time. A few years ago, one of my good friends, Hamid, who's a GP like myself as well, told me that, hey, well, do you want to hear something amazing? I'm like, yeah. And he said, I've got this guy that he's coming to our place to give us a talk about our financial future. I'm like, okay, well, that's what I'm worried about. And as professionals, we always worry about, our future, because you just try to be at your best, what you're doing at your best. So like us being doctors, we try to treat our patients at our best. The last thing that you think about, or you should think about, is how much money you're going to make out of this. So, obviously it leaves us with a situation where you could be concerned about your current financial situations, or most importantly about your retirement, how you're going to retire, how much money I'm going to have, especially coming in here in Australia, like 10 years later than my peers. I would have started 10 years younger, but I didn't. I had to catch up. I have to catch up.
So when your friend called you up and said, come over, we're going to have a conversation, you already had all these little inquiries inside of your mind, right? Like, how am I actually doing? Where is my debt at? What's my taxation? What is it that I don't know?
Yep.
And also start looking at the reality that you are a new Australian, new immigrant. Yep. So you basically had to start all over again.
Yep.
Exactly right.
As if you're just starting from scratch and going ahead and making your future just from scratch again.
What did you learn in that meeting? What did you learn in that side of that conversation and in the process of, connecting with MEDIGROW? What did you learn?
Well, the main take-home message for me on that night, I can clearly remember before the COVID was that you don't need to work more to make more money. You got to have a plan, a strategy to save some money, and then have some other ways that the money works for you as well. So you save the money. I still remember that holly money that you mentioned as well, that, comes back to you when you're doing that. So that opened a good door of, should I say, nice future to me. I felt like, okay, well, there is hope. That's great.
Man,
it's not too late.
Yeah, it is very common, man. This is a conversation that happens. Dr. Babak, what happens is very, very common for us, where you guys work so hard.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that in a moment. Yeah, you work so hard. And it's like, what is the switch? Can money work for you? You work for the money, but can money work for you? And the idea that you can use all the money that you are wasting in tax, because you pay a lot of tax. Wasting may be not the most appropriate word.
Yeah.
But if you get no benefit from it and just kind of out you go, you pay $1 million in tax across 10 years, right? Where you could get a significant amount of money back of that money to reduce your debt and invest. And I notice that switch is very often when people go, wow, I haven't thought about that way.
Exactly.
I haven't thought about my money coming back by becoming an investor. The money from taxation is coming back to me, and then I treat it as holy money. meaning I'm actually going to use this to drive my debt down, my personal debt down. Yeah. And and then it leads to a thing I want to put to you as a question, right?
Yep.
Were you able to reduce? By the way, guys, I know the answer, right? But it's just for the sake of hanging out. Were you able to reduce your tax?
Of course, it has started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And if you were to sit with somebody else and they to say, "What do you mean reduce your tax?" How would you go explaining that?
Well, the whole point is so I just explain it in my language, which
Yes,
is
please.
just, the not that professional, language of yours. It'd be like, you get a property, you get some of the tax that you had to pay back on that sort of basically brand new property that you've just had. And that happens over the years as well. Every single year that you're paying tax, some of that money is coming back to you.
Perfect.
So you haven't paid that tax as if you have saved it. So,
Yeah. And then, guys, $1 saved is way more powerful than $1 made. So let's just say, like Babak, you get back $11,000 in tax, right? And that $11,000 that were going out comes back to you, and you put that $11,000 back in your mortgage. And let's just say your mortgage sits tonight around 6%. If you think about it properly, that $11,000 is performing at 6% tax-free, meaning if it's gone, it is gone. There's no return on it. It returned. It came back to you. And if you put into the principal in your home, that $11,000 paid that off. If you were to put that $11,000 in another investment, it would have to perform a 6% and you would pay tax. Because it's inside of your mortgage, it's performing a 6% money that you don't have to pay interest on anymore. And as you said, the following year, another amount comes and you put it back in, and another money comes and you put it back in, right?
That's it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Why did you become a client of MEDIGROW? So you went to the presentation, you understood what happened. Then what was it? What was the conversation between you and your wife and the process? How come you're a client here today?
Well, what happened was on that night, I remember we went home and we were like, okay, well, even tomorrow is still too late. Let's just get this sorted together, because as I said, we're a few years behind our peers in the first place. And every single year, every single day, I would say, you just keep thinking that, okay, well, keep being concerned that what's going to happen? Do I need to work more? Do I need to work more hours to make more money to, feed my family, to get my future finances secured? And I thought, okay, well, this has, as I said, this opened another door of hope to me. And I was like, okay, well, let's just do this instead of going and working like 7 days a week. I could do it that way. So came to you guys, and thankfully we just went together quite quick, actually. Yeah.
Man, I remember when you guys first arrived. And again, for those of you that are watching that are also new to Australia, been here for 10 years, 15 years, and you don't have a strategy, I remember meeting with you guys and saying, let's slow this right now. And let's go through a process of, quote, education. I don't know what you know, and I don't know what you don't know. And I really enjoyed that openness. Now, the two of you asking questions, hold on a second, how does this connect with that? And how that connect with that. And we were able to go through all there's no such a thing as investing without risk.
Yeah.
And we're going through all the risk processes. Well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And before we commit to anything, let's really run the software, run the ideas, which leads me to this question here, right? What are you doing to deal with the mortgage uprises now? Like, are you scared of the interest rates going up and up and up?
Well, obviously, yes, but not as much as I could think of. I would have been as scared if I didn't have any strategies in place, that's for sure. Well, of course, over the past 2 to 3 years, the rates were really low.
Yes.
I would say way lower than the average of Australia. And this price was just not really that much of a shock. It was just back to sort of normal, but very quick.
Very quick.
And that being so quick, that's of course difficult and painful, stressful at times.
So guys, for those of you watching this, here's the game. We are back to rates pre-pandemic, right? We are right at the cost of money. However, for a big chunk of time, people used to interest rates being so low that they got used to this non-reality. But then when we come together to do this, everything we do is debt reduction driven. Everything we do is to sit with our clients and actually talk to them about the strategy of paying their mortgages ahead, using every tax advantage they can have to drive the debts down. Now, what have you observed has happened to rent since interest rates have gone up?
Of course, it has gone up as well, and that's gone up substantially. So
you're not too concerned about your investment because the rent is increasing,
of course,
significantly, and that pays the increase in rent in the interest rates as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So see, when we sit like this and we start talking about these pieces, right? Well, when we first met, you just working. Now, I understand you love what you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But now, when you said you had hope and hope opened, is when you go to work now at the back end, there's an asset base, right? Growing because utilizing all your inefficiencies to build a portfolio of investments, first properties, and then everything else that may go with that, right?
Yep.
So do you feel that you are being able to drive your debt down? Are you driving your debt down?
Yes. Yeah. So what's happening is as much as you can pay out of your principal, the big mortgage, the main one, driving that down as much as possible, saving that amount of money will mean saving that percentage of the interest that you're not paying anymore.
See, guys,
the sooner the better.
Yeah, of course, that kind of, as a conversation, is an obvious piece, right? But what you're watching that you may not know, that Dr. Babak did not know, and then now he knows, is this. He was paying for his mortgage in this fashion alone. But now he's no longer alone. He actually has a property investment, then a second one, then a third one, then we'll build a chain reaction. But the point is, every single property gives him, get this, tax minimization where he gets the tax back, gives him increased rent, which he will use to pay debt down, right? And not only that, those properties will increase in value. And the key concept here, remember in the beginning of the conversation when we were sitting here, says, how much longer can I work? How much longer can I do this? What is the thing? The point I want to make is, in the near future, he'll be able to look at his portfolio and even make such decisions as, I may sell a couple of properties and pay my house off. See, if he doesn't have that option, right, he only has his house that he's paying the debt down. But what is actually happening between us, is actually sitting down and actually seeing the houses buying each other, buying themselves, using federal law, state law, tax minimization, investing. That's the piece, right? So what were your fears at the time and what are your fears now?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So fears at the time, as I said, it was like, how you're going to invest for your future. Is it just my superannuation enough? Mm-hmm. Am I making enough money for my superannuation to have a good retirement? So that was the main thing. And what the fear is now, obviously that fear is much, much, much less at the moment. And the more you invest, the better it becomes, because then you feel like, okay, well, I've got more in the background that's working for me as well. Mm-hmm. And sooner than later, sooner than that 30 years or whatever, I'm just paying my main mortgage as well. And then once that's down, you're pretty much free then. That's...
If you to explain to another doctor, right, what did MEDIGROW do for you? What did we actually do? So you came, we sat, we talked about education, we designed a plan, and then what happened?
That's the point. That was quite individual planning, tailored, I would say. That I felt, okay, well, it's your pace, it's my pace, and how much money I'm making at the moment and how far I will go, how fast I will go. I have friends that they have like 14, 15 houses by now. I have friends that have 2 houses. And that's based on that. But the point is, having that investment is definitely better than not having it, because it gives me peace of mind, telling me that, hey, well, now you can go to work. Now I can go to work and feel that, well, I'm actually just concentrating on my work. I'm just enjoying my work as well. That's one of the things that's brought to me as well, that I'm not concerned about what's going to happen. I'm like going to work, great, feeling good, taking care of my patients, taking care of my clients, and knowing that my strategies are looked after.
Yeah.
And someone professional is taking care of that for me as well. And wherever I'm going wrong, like recently that we were talking about it, you guys come and say, hey, well, stop. We need to change this. We need to go ahead and say, this is not the way. Let's go and do it that way. So
yeah, save some tax, save some positioning.
Yeah.
See, guys, here's the thing about the experiences of persons and individual, right? I want solutions. So we are committed to teaching our clients everything that they need to know so they can make those decisions, right? What we actually done on a practical down to core is the moment that these guys became clients, right? We went and sourced the whole thing. At any given time, we are helping doctors across Australia to buy properties across Australia. Babak did not have to be driving around, talking to 10 different real estate agents, talking to people like that. We did all of it.
That's it.
We went to developers, went to different people. We were able to come to him and say, we have this property in Queensland, we have this property in Victoria, we have this other property. And it's a natural selection and matching his capabilities in doing that. But I'm not doing that just for one doctor. We're doing that for 200 doctors, right? And as Babak said, some of them are buying the 14th house. Some of them are buying the second or the third. It's at your speed, not ours. And that's where then this whole integration piece comes, where you have the software, right? And you're working with the idea that your numbers are your numbers. You cannot mistreat them. If they're begging for attention, you give them the attention. And then you have the education and then the execution, right? Because you see, for everyone watching, sometimes people are so flat out and they don't know what they don't know. And then once they kind of start discovering it, they burn so much time, right? So let me frame that in a question like this. Man, what were the benefits to you, the immediate benefits to you in becoming a client of MEDIGROW?
Well, I would say, like recently we've been thinking about getting an investment property and on the Gold Coast. And on the weekends, we were just thinking of, okay, well, over the whole weekends, we had to spend time and go ahead and go from Coolangatta up to Pimpama, searching for different properties. Lots of times, online searching for properties, and then most of the times with the situation these days, you would get there and there's already 20 people in the line, and that's time consuming. That's could be quite stressful as well. But in that sense, I just come to you and say, hey, well, I'm ready to buy another property.
Yeah.
You would just go, okay, well, relax. We'll just get your numbers up and see what we can do with that. And then here's your choices. And we just choose from that. It's just this is luxury. This is great.
Yeah.
I love it.
So no driving around, no stressing out. There's all these people competing.
I know.
There is some emotional charges. It may be the hunting, but when you come here, he is the best of the best properties. Choose what do you want to buy?
Exactly right.
Right, and that's to do with buying in volume. Right, every developer in the country knows of us. That they know who we are. They know what we're doing. And as I said a moment ago, we're buying or helping doctors to source. We're buying for our doctors, dentists, nurses, people in the medical arena, their properties, like sourcing for them. We know we have clients good to go. And here it is. Can we just match it, So Babak, let me ask you this. Given your experience so far, would you recommend MEDIGROW to someone else?
I would definitely recommend MEDIGROW to any of my colleagues. That's for sure. And what I would say is that first things first, you feel like family here. I honestly feel like, from the first moment I, met yourself and the team, I've been treated so well in the first place. And secondly is that you could see and you could feel as a medical professional that, hey, well, someone is looking after you. And that's a great feeling, because as doctors, we look after people. And it's a great feeling to be looked after as well at some stage.
Man, one of the greatest things about our sayings here at MEDIGROW is like, let us look after those that look after us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, we look after doctors because doctors look after people all the time. So it is so good to hear that from you.
I guess it's a reciprocal feeling.
Yeah. You and I also were talking about passive income.
Yeah. You mentioned that passive income. Could you please just tell me a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Passive income is safety. Passive income is a way to sleep well at night. So for every one of our doctors, for every one of our dentists, nurses, anyone in the medical profession, I'm going to be very, very straight. Dear doctor, the reason why you need to come into MEDIGROW and check your options is this. We will get rid of your debt in your own home as soon as we can, as fast as we can, and build a chain reaction of investments. First, property, residential property. And I want you to imagine that passive income is you wake up in the morning and you have 2 or 3 or 4 of those properties fully paid for. So not only you get to enjoy the growth over time. So in Australia, we can easily say compounded, property will grow compounded around 5.5% to 9% per annum, right? So if you're conservative, you say 5.5%, just above inflation. If you are a bit dynamic, you can say 9%. The software will allow you to do whatever. But the point is passive income, and that's what we're going to get you to is, bro, should I retire now? Well, you work only if you want to, because from a financial perspective, you have all these houses paying you rent. And during time, all the taxes that you got back from these houses paid your own home off. So you have no longer personal debt at all, and income from these properties. So if you go to work as a doctor, it's because you love it, not because you have to do it, right? And that's where passive income is safety. Right there. This is it, Babak, one of the things that I would say to you now, just to close this, what would you say to new doctors? Okay. Let's just say that if I could lend you my time machine, right? And you went back to, I don't know, just when you arrived in Australia, you've been here for 6 months, you've been here for a year. Let's just say 1 year, your first anniversary of being in Australia, and I could send you back in time to that moment. What would you say to Babak then? This Babak now, what would you tell him?
I would tell that, hey, well, there is a team that could help you. And I could, I regret the years that I have not known you before, honestly. And Babak should have known this earlier. And thank you very much, Hamid, to tell me about that as well.
Isn't that funny that like we learn things when we learn things?
Yep.
There's no point and yet it's interesting that you were here and you had a bank manager, you had accountants, you had other people that provided you with insurances, but no one talked about an integration process where you get rid of your tax, like you pay less tax legally, you minimize your tax legally, then you use that money to get rid of your debt, right? And then you prosper.
Yep.
That is looking after those that look after us.
Yep.
That is the game. So I am so glad you say, Babak, go and look Julio up. Go and look MEDIGROW up.
Yep.
Of course, that this is great, but it's genuinely though, right?
Yep.
So when Hamid said to you as a friend, said to you, hey, go and see these people,
Yep.
right? It's a conversation between one friend and another.
Yep.
See if you like what you see, and then you can execute on that. My friend, just so as we finish the interview and we do this, I just want to thank you so much for being here, allowing us to expand this. And how do you feel, just so last questions, how do you feel about your future now?
Definitely.
The next 20 years. How do you feel about that?
Definitely feeling positive about it. Definitely feeling positive, feeling hopeful. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Are your numbers working for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's a rocky road, that's for sure.
Yes.
And we know that it's not easy, but life is not meant to be easy in the first place. But the more it goes, the better it becomes as well.
Right. So, Babak, without any further ado, brother.
Yep.
What is your broadcast? What is your personal message as a doctor?
Yep.
To the world, right?
Well, I would say do what you love and enjoy that. And if you're not enjoying that, either change it or go and search for what's wrong. What's stopping you from enjoying it?
Go and search for what's wrong.
Yeah, because
sometimes people just complain, right?
Yeah.
They just complain and sit on it. Look at it, right?
Look at it. Find it. Diagnose it.
Yeah.
Because there's always something wrong. When you're not enjoying it, there's something wrong. Yeah. Go and find what's wrong and solve that.
I love this insight. I actually do. It's almost like if you're not enjoying, something is wrong and you're not as healthy.
No, that's it. It's like something's painful somewhere.
Yeah, there is a pain. There's not pain. Like an elbow pain or a knee pain, but almost like an existence pain.
Existence pain, I would say. Yeah. And there's something wrong in that.
I love it. Yeah. Oh man, this that is very good.
Right.
Yeah. So once again, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Hey guys, if you have enjoyed this episode, if you have enjoyed this interview, please do follow us. It's simple. Just follow us. That's what helps the channel, helps the algorithm on the channel to let other people know what's possible for them. And again, as I've been saying, if you have any questions, like today before this interview, not to get into a personal piece, but we were talking about strategies for Babak and his family, extended family in terms of full integration. If you have any personal question, anything, please let me know. If I don't know it, I will tell you. If I know it, I will tell you how. Have a great day, and thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, bye-bye. Thank you, man. Right. So good. All right.